If you're watching this, it means we are here in the 5D. It's more of a perception, an internal kind of shift. The calm after a very intense and long storm. It's really subtle, but it feels different. It feels like we can be and act from our heart center, from our heart space. You can still see all this trouble. Imagine a line. This is where we're at just now. But below there are like this massive action, turbulent realities, 3D oriented drama, and it's really dark. And we can choose to dive again and to start getting like carried over by that, or we can remain here, open and free, because we are here. And to be here, it took a lot of that personal effort to transcend our personhood, to transcend our false sense of being, our false identity, all of our belief systems that are now obsolete, and we're finally free. It feels way harder to choose to go back to a place of trauma and conflict and to dealing with people you no longer align with, than to remain in a place that could feel uncertain, but once you give it all your trust, it's no longer uncertain. You're free. You are blessed. It is a place where you no longer need to worry and try too hard and hustle and fight and will your way. It's more of a surrender into the unknown, but with a quantum shift, with a leap of faith that everything is fine, that everything is more than fine actually, that everything is. And when you act from that space, from your heart, and trust that inner voice and just remain in this state of flow, everything works out for the highest good. I spend a lot of time thinking about making this beautiful bird is like really getting into this conversation. I feel like actually being able to listen to nature, being able to trust yourself and how things will unfold. It's just what we need now. We're so used to trying to control everything and suffer and create eternal mental scenarios, and it's the opposite of manifesting a good life or just trying to hit a goal or something like that. We now are in a different space, and if you're watching this video, you're here, and it feels truly different. It feels lighter and there's no certainty, but you just remain open and present, and that's all you need to know. I feel I've been waiting before the bird the beautiful bird started singing, I was about to say that for the longest time, my essence, my one of my innermost desires was to start making these videos. But before, if I tried to do that, something would happen, like the camera wouldn't be recording, or I would feel like just not right. For some reason, after this veil like was uncovered, and since we raised our consciousness, and now that we are feeling this massive, beautiful amount of energy and life again, I feel like I can finally make this first video, because it's not about the person, it's not about how many views it has or anything like that. It's just information that I get to share because of how I feel internally once I get over my false sense of self, my egoic kind of mind and all of that. So in a way, making these videos is not something that I can like schedule, and the only way of doing it, for me at least, is to be present with my own self and my heart, and just not really thinking about anything else, which is what 5D is to me. It's not trying to push, or it's not trying to achieve something, and it's not something mental. It's quite the opposite. It's from your heart, and after, again, a long journey of self-discovery and dark night of the soul and shadow work and anxiety and trauma and the many things we go through when we are still associating ourselves with when we still associate with the mind and our bodies in a way that is false. So this is just an example of what to me meant the arriving into the 5D was chaotic from a personal point of view. It's like, just like you could hear the barking and the screaming, there was a really long winter and a really long sort of struggle and sense of lack and limitation and confusion and being lost. And now all of those things, as I was saying before, they seem to be like under this threshold, but we are here. The phrase "rise above it" is what got to me in the first place, and to me that's the definition. To arrive here, it was rise above it, rise above it, rise above it, rise above it. Not in a way where you lie to yourself or do nothing, but in a way that you respond from your heart and you don't react. You just act out of love and compassion, not only to yourself but to everyone else, and you see everything else as a mirror, even the chaos and all of that. And the more you rise above it, you want to say hello? The more you rise above it, the more it feels like you start getting lighter, and that sense of peace, this inner landscape, it just hits differently than before. I feel like during the shadow work and during the inner work and all of that, that was still part of the 3D and the 4D, meaning that it was still something like a constant circle with no end. It would feel like some form of addiction in a way, because it will never end. And the only way to rise above it was to remain present and with your heart open, not reacting from your mind, but just acting from your heart center. Not going from a reactive ego mind with things like violence, with things like discussions, with things like aggression, with things like I have to be right, you're wrong. All of that, I feel it was really, really strong recently. But it was only because it was showing us what we don't actually want. And the choice was ours. We could go against our hearts and just close our hearts and react and go crazy. Or we could rise above it, remain present, and be pure. No matter what the ego mind was telling you, no matter all the inner chat, all the mind attack, if you remain in your heart space, it's like you end up having this good karma. Less you react, and the more open you remain, the more resilient you become. All your troubles will dissolve. Everything that was like heavy and you felt too important, it will soften and you will feel alive again. You will regain that energy back. I feel that is the meaning of this shift. It just feels different because you've been through so much. We've been through a lot. And to be here, we have to acknowledge that from our person 3D point of view, we were lost, but we were still trying to find that light. And we did. And now the shift is here, and that means we are in a different frequency, in a different conscious, creative mind, which is not the mind, but the heart, but it has a connection. So, welcome to my channel. Things change when you truly align with your heart. That energy is available to every one of us just now. And the way you start, like that seed you plant, the way you begin doing things, the point of creation has to be the heart now. It can't be any different. And that is why I feel we're gonna get to enjoy a lot more and think a lot less about the past, the circumstances, and those predictions we tend to create only to suffer. This is the time to be aware of that, and more than ever, let it go and just remain living from your heart. Welcome. I hope to see you soon.